Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy and group Jackalope Rob Ricks. Sorry about that. I trying something a little bit different. I went and back reviewed last week's. I have headphones in now, so that way I don't hear. Actually, I hear, but you guys won't hear any echoing when we're doing. Seems like last week, whenever I did any sound effects, there was a 1 second delay, so it was doing some stuff. So. Anyway, let's see who we got in here. We got the Yakster. We got Brian, Backwoods Hickalope, Paula. Let's see, Lyra, Vixen, Tammy, and I think that's it. So far, that's pretty good. So what I've done is I have been doing a little tweaking on the intro and everything. And before we even get started, how's the sound? I did a little bit of modifications to it, so I want to make sure it's not robotic. There's no weird dips in the audio. Everything should be about right. I did some testing earlier, and it sounded okay. Let's see. Night, Robert. Our faces horrors in our story. Rob must go shopping. Or unnamables. Man, I do that shit. I do that shit every time I go shopping. I buy pads. I buy all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? Okay. Also on some news. Backwoods, Paula, Brian. Is anybody else on here that I owe stuff to? I have. Oh, and Lyra. I have stuff packed up, so it will be going out tomorrow. So everything. This should finally get everybody caught up on what I owe them. Sorry about that. That took forever. So, and Garen's in the house. All right. So, without further ado, I think we've got 7 in here right now. I think that's probably more than enough for us to go ahead and get our keywords and everything. So, let's
Please submit your words now.
Actually, I don't want that. I want this one. That's the one I want. Oh. Oh, this is my natural. This is bedhead. This is some of my bedhead right here. Oh, this way. Yeah. Oh my God. Really? All right, we don't need any more now. Let's see. I think we've got way more than we need. Okay, so let's see what we got here. We got Lucidity, excuse me, Freezing, Dave and Buster's Burgers, Sweaty Nutsack, Get the Swag On, Haven't Seen Since You Were Little, Nightborn, Nazi Nosferatu, Stripper Hookers, Electric Bicycle, Jack Daniels and Coke, Bedhead, Pineapple Slices and Macadamia Nuts. I think that's where we're going to stop. Because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we've got 12. Lucidity, Freezing, Dave & Buster's Burgers, Sweaty Nutsack, Get the Swag On, Haven't Seen Since You Were Little, Nightborn, Nazi Nosferatu Stripper Hookers, Electric Bicycle, Jack Daniels and Coke, Bedhead, Pineapple Slices and Macadamia Nuts. Well, you guys have given me some very, very, very interesting sets of words here. So now I need to figure out what the fuck to do with these words. So let's see. Go with, let's see. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can get this one. This is, I don't know, this one I might have bit off a little more I could chew on this one. Okay, let me get buttons ready. Turn that off. Okay. Oh. Talk. Okay. So again, the words are lucidity, freezing, Dave and Buster's burgers, sweaty nutsack, get the swag on, haven't seen that since you were little, Nightborn, Nazi Nosferatu stripper hookers, electric bicycle, Jack Daniels and Coke, bedhead, pineapple slices, and macadamia nuts. Holy shit, guys, seriously. Comfortable. Sorry for the noise. Okay. Check. Okay. Here we go. It was freezing. My skin had goosebumps. My head pounded horribly. There was a brilliant flash of light. I opened my eyes, but couldn't see anything. I opened my mouth to breathe, and there was a stale taste as I pulled in what little air was there. I moved my body, and I felt as if I was sitting inside of Jello. I strained harder, and my arms were mine, free again. I reached up. I could feel I was in some kind of a container, something cylinder. I could tell this because as I pressed my hands forward, I slid them front to back. My arms could reach further back than I could remember. I checked my body. There were things extruding from it. Tubes. Went down to my stomach. There were tubes. I realized that I was naked. This was slightly embarrassing, I thought to myself, and I chuckled internally as I thought, Jesus, Samantha, you found yourself in some kind of a tube, some kind of a cylinder with all kinds of things sticking out of it, and the only thing you can think of is how embarrassing it is to be naked. Get it together, girl. I pressed forward. The container seemed to give slightly. I thought about my daughter Jackie. Where is she? Where am I? When am I? What's going on? My mind was racing, so many thoughts. I didn't know what to do. Fear took over. And it was with that pulse, that rage, that influx of fear and adrenaline. Somehow, I sent the lid flying off of me. Brilliant light flashed in through everything. I could hear the liquid splashing on the ground. Suddenly I had weight to me. All my limbs felt very heavy. I rolled to my right, let my legs dangle down, careful of the tubes that were protruding out of me. Now with sufficient light I could look down and see. There were indeed tubes. I pressed gently on my stomach, grabbed the tube that was there, and pulled gently. It came out and had a very odd sensation. Not one of pain or aching or anything else, just a slight tingling. And in amazement, I watched as the hole that was there rapidly healed up. What is that? I wondered to myself. I quickly pulled the rest of the tubes out and waited. Every single one of them healed up rapidly. I was amazed, excited, and terrified at the same time. This was new to me. I was clumsy. I would hurt myself. And oftentimes, the bruises would last for almost a week. I jumped out of the container. My feet slipped on the floor. I caught myself, and my arms flung back quickly. Wow, I steadied myself. I guess I'm not that klutzy anymore. I studied the room that I was in. It was small, only 8 foot by 10 feet. Barely enough room to hold the container, and me, and the lights above me. I wondered if somebody was watching. I looked at the 4 corners of the room and didn't see any cameras. It's a little bit odd. What did I do for a living? I couldn't remember. I knew my name. I knew I had a daughter. But above and beyond that, it was a blank slate. What's going on? I listened. I didn't hear anything. There was a door. I walked to the door, careful not to slip. I was a little bit nervous because there was no clothing, nothing for me to put on. I stepped forward, got to the door, grabbed the handle, twisted it. It was locked. Damn it! I was frustrated and angry, but something amazing happened. I was still holding the handle as I had gotten angry and frustrated. It crumpled in my hand, like aluminum foil or a soda can. Wow, that's new. I wondered. I pulled what was left of the handle out, looked down, pressed the rest of the door assembly out, slid the piece out, and then a door opened. Well, thankfully it didn't have other locks than that. Thought occurred to me, though. The door was locked from the outside. Interesting. I walked forward and looked around. There was a long hallway in front of me. I walked down slowly, cautiously, listening. I took about 5 steps and I heard the faint sound of music. It was loud to me, but muffled, and it was weird. I wasn't sure how I was hearing that sound. I followed it. I came around a corner, hopped back quickly. I had seen down the hallway for just the briefest of moments, but information poured into me. A lot of information. Such as there was a man sitting roughly 10 feet down the hall from me. He had headphones on. The music I recognized was from Queensryche, the song Silent Lucidity. I could also see that he was eating a burger. I smelled. I recognized it. It was a burger from Dave & Buster's, a Dave & Buster's burger. He was staring at a magazine intently. I had seen a little bit of one of the top right corners. Even though he was 10 feet away from me, I could read the caption on the top. It was something about Nazi Nosferatu stripper hookers. I shook my head. Fucking pervert. I walked closer to him, silently. He didn't hear me come up. Then a smell assailed me. I could smell. There was a sour, salty smell, and I realized I was smelling his sweaty nutsack. I shrugged. Jesus Christ. I could even tell he had an erection and had some kind of excitement. That odor also got to my nose. I wondered, should I talk to him? Should I ask him questions? Then I did something that really surprised myself. I reached out, faster than I thought I was, grabbed the bottom of his chin, pressed my left hand against the base of his skull, and went to snap his neck. I was amazed when his head came free, and a visceral splash of blood splattered the wall. My stomach growled. I couldn't help myself. I leaned forward onto his decapitated body and started to hungrily slurp from his neck the torrent of blood that sprayed with each beat of his heart. I was amazed that his heart was still rolling after I had ripped his head off. Let's see. I searched his clothing. I found a key card. I took his bloody shirt and his pants, and I put them on. They were very baggy, very loose fitting, but I figured it was better than walking around naked, covered in blood. Clothing in blood, I figured I could use to my advantage. If I got outside, I could always act as if somebody had attacked me, at least until I could get free and get to Jackie. I had to find Jackie. I walked forward and there was a door. There was a key card pad to the right of it. I put his key card to it. It beeped, and then I heard the click of the door. I opened it, and I walked forward. There were stairs in front of me. I went up the stairs and saw it was night. There was a cool breeze that flew by me, and I thought I smelled something familiar, but I couldn't put my head on it. I couldn't put my finger on it. I looked right. I saw a bunch of parked cars. I walked forward, and I saw what looked to be some form of a bicycle, but it was different. It had control panels on it, little switches and knobs, and there was a big, bulky, square unit down at the bottom where pedals should be. There were no pedals. Didn't look like a motorcycle. It looked more like an electric bicycle. So I sat, I fiddled with the switches, and it started to purr. I pushed forward on one of the knobs on my right hand, and the bike rolled forward. I had never seen an electric bicycle before, and I wasn't sure how it even existed. It was something different. It was at that moment, as I was rolling free with the wind blowing through my hair, I felt a sensation pulling me to the right. I looked, and sure enough, there were buildings. In fact, one of the buildings was the Dave & Buster's that the guard must have had gotten his food from. I decided, there's something there I need to see. So I turned the bike and started in that direction. After about 5 minutes, I was nearing it, and I saw a parked car. I stared at the trunk, and I could see almost through the trunk. It was as if instinctually I knew there was something in the trunk that I needed. I stopped the bike, and it kept trying to move forward, and I realized I didn't know how to make it stop once it started. I flipped the other switches and nothing worked, so I dropped the bike and let it roll forward. It landed on the ground and started to make little odd queer circles as it spun around, unable to go forward. I got to the trunk, reached down with one hand, grabbed the back where the lock was, and I squeezed, wondering if it would give the same as the door did. It did. I crumpled the trunk, lifted it. Inside, there was a bag full of clothes that need to be laundered. Inside, I could see there were women's clothing, roughly about the right size for me. Imagine that. I got undressed, wiped the rest of the blood off of me that I could with the guard's bloody clothing, and changed into the dirty clothes. Once I felt I would pass casual scrutiny, I continued to the Dave & Buster's. As I got close to the front, there was a man there staring at me, head tilted, inquisitively, one eyebrow raised. "You are interesting," he said. I looked at him. He did not register as a memory as somebody that I knew. "Do I know you?" I asked him cautiously. "No, I don't believe we've ever met, because if we had met, I would remember you." "Huh, okay, if you say so. Are you planning on going in there?" I looked, and there was something that was pulling me there. "Yes, I am." "Well, you might want to, fix your hair, wipe your face up a little better." He retrieved a handkerchief from his vest pocket and handed it to me. He dabbed on it and licked it, just like a parent would with a child. I stared at it. "What do you expect me to do with that?" He reached into his jacket, cautiously, pulled out a mirror, showed it to me. "You might want to clean yourself up." I stared in the mirror, and I was horrified. My face was covered in blood. I had thought I had wiped most of it off, but there were little bits and pieces all in my eyebrows, on my ears, and I stared at the man wondering why he was not horrified by what he saw. He smiled as I wiped away, and I cleaned up. I looked at my hair. Oh, man. Yeah, you've got a really bad case of bedhead. I nodded. You have a comb? No. But he motioned with his hands, made arcane, odd symbols in the air. Suddenly I felt the warmth in my hair, almost as if my head was covered inside of a blow dryer. My hair flew wildly and suddenly landed back into a nice, neat assembly. I looked in the mirror. Wow. How did you do that? Do not be concerned. All Nightborn are able to do this. Really? What is a Nightborn? Well, I could ask you the same, since you seem to feel familiar to me, but you're not quite a Nightborn. I'm wondering what you are. I'm just a mom looking for her daughter. Well, I shan't be in your way. Indeed, go forward and find your daughter. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure we shall meet again. What's your name? My name is James. What is yours? Samantha. Samantha, it's good to meet you. As I said, I'm sure we'll meet again. Okay. At that moment, somebody had came out of the front of the Dave & Buster's, laughing. Her and a man were making a lot of jokes and ruckus, and I glanced at them for just the briefest of moment. When I looked back, James was gone. They looked at me, and the man chuckled. Hey, she's kind of hot, huh? The lady said, come on, you're fucking drunk. Let's go. Grabbed him and pulled him away. I could smell the scent of Jack Daniels and Coke on him, heavily. Her just smelled the faint smell of beer. I nodded. This is interesting. I walked in. Sights and sounds overwhelmed me. I had a tugging sensation. I pushed forward. And then I saw my daughter. She was working behind the bar. I knew she was my daughter, but she was older. Much older. When I had last seen my daughter, she was 12. Now, at least, she looks like 23, maybe? I walked forward. As I got closer, she looked up and met eye contact with me. Her jaw dropped. Her eyes welled with water, and she started to cry. Mom? I ran forward. Jackie! And I hugged her. Gently, very gently, realizing that I had some form of strength and I did not want to hurt her. Mom! Where have you been? I don't know. I just woke up. What do you mean you just woke up? You disappeared. We hadn't seen you in a long time. A long time. How long? Years, Mom. Years. It's been a long time. It's been at least 12 years. I nodded. Who had done this to me? Who had taken me from my family? Well, who took care of you? Dad? Dad took care of you? She pulled out a locket. On the locket, I could see she opened it up and there was a picture of me and her dad. I haven't seen that since you were little. I thought it was lost. No, Dad had it. That son of a bitch took it? He kept it? Yeah. And when you disappeared, he gave it to me. Huh. Why did he take it? I don't know. Doesn't matter, Mom. All that matters is that you're here now. I hugged her. She smelled sweet. She smelled like pineapple slices and macadamia nuts. I said, what? Are you one of those vegans? Do you just don't eat meat and stuff? She goes, how would you know that, Mom? Because you smell like pineapple. Yeah, I had that for lunch earlier. What's going on with me? It was at that moment that I heard a ruckus from the front. James was standing there, facing off against a man, a big, tall, black man. They were going fiercely, battling. I saw James get cut. I saw his blood. Something went wild in me. I don't understand why. But I felt that an injustice had been done, and I had to act. Without thinking, I leapt into the air, and then I flew forward. Wings had extended from my arms to my ribs, allowing me to glide. I landed on the man and reached down, fingers penetrating his eyes. He tried to scream, and I ripped his face in half. I leaned on him I leaned forward and slid on him as he fell backwards from my weight. He hit the ground with this thickening thud. I rolled forward, came up and ready. James smiled at me. Well, at least I know what side you're on. Who was that? That, my dear, was a hunter. What do you mean a hunter? There are hunters that hunt us Nightborn. Why do you mean us? You consider me a Nightborn? He again showed me the mirror, showed me my face. Fangs had extended. Not one set of fangs, but 3. My eyes had double slits in them, and another set of lids that blinked. The second set on the inside had blinked and closed, but was still somewhat translucent. I could see through it, but I realized it must have been some form of protective membrane. What am I? He blinked also. I could see the double lid in his blink also, and to show me his eyes were the same. I've already answered that question. You're a Nightborn, but enough of that. Come stand side to side with me. We have more coming. I did as I was told. I stood next to him. Sure enough, 4 men had came in. One had a gun. Be careful of that one. If he tags you, you'll be down in 5 seconds. I heard a and instinctively dove to my right and rolled. I heard a woman behind me gasp. I looked up. A dart protruded from her forehead. Really? He again set, aimed. More darts flying. I easily dodged each as if time slowed. It was pathetic. I felt the anger well in me. I got to him. I ripped down, tore his belt, pants, penis, testicles off. One fell swipe. He dropped the gun, reached for what wasn't there, and quickly bled out as I dealt with the next man. I turned and was amazed. James had taken 2 out already. I looked back, saw my daughter, the horror in her eyes as she watched me work. I didn't know what I was doing. It was all instinct. The man came. I heard James try to yell out. The man swung, connected solidly with my jaw. My head snapped back slightly, not very far, but I felt his hand crumble and crush as he impacted with me. The man had broken his hand as he punched me. My hands reached up quickly, and I swung, and I took his arm off at the elbow. It fell to the ground, and before he could even stare at it, I had taken his throat. He fell. James said, I'm sorry. You need to tell your daughter bye, and we leave now. But she can't know what's going to happen next, and you put her at risk the more you spend time with her. But she's my daughter, and she's also human. You are no longer human. You need to go. At that, he tore out. I could feel his presence as he tore out of the front and left. Instinctually, I knew what direction he was going. I turned and looked at Jackie one last time. Tears streamed down my face, matched by the tears streaming down her face. I mouthed the words, I'm sorry, and I love you. She nodded. She understood. I was no longer her mother, not the mother she had remembered. Okay. That's it. We got Lucidity, Freezing, Dave & Buster's Burgers, Sweaty Nutsack. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, there's a word. There's a word I missed. The word I missed, so I failed in that regards. I had fully planned on when she got in Dave & Buster's, she was going to see somebody wearing a shirt that said, "Get the swag on." And I missed that word. But I did get, haven't seen that since you were little, Nightborn, Nazi Nosferatu, stripper hookers, electric bicycle, Jack Daniels and Coke, bedhead, pineapple slices, and macadamia nuts. But I did miss get the swag on. So, did not get that word in. So that's a oopsie on my part. But I had planned on using it. I had a plan. And I think that's where I screwed myself. I think because I had planned it early in the story, when I was glancing at that, I had thought I had used it. But, it is what it is. I mean, the goal is to get 10 keywords and knock those out. I had 12 and I missed one. So technically, I still got at least 10 in there. But I did miss that one. Get the swag on. That's why I had to put her inside of Dave & Buster's, because sometimes you'll see stuff like that when you go inside of Dave & Buster's. You'll see some crazy stuff like, hey, you want the swag or whatever. So that would have tied in fairly effortlessly, but I did omit it. But I did come up with a... you missed to start over from the beginning. Did you see how I was able to get in, I was wondering how I was going to get in, Sweaty Nutsack, Well, the sad thing about stories, especially anytime you start to pull in, vampiric undead type stuff, you're going to start to get some similarities on other archetypes. There's I try to explain this to my daughter. Very rarely are you going to find story setups that don't follow certain types of archetypes. I think from one part that's familiar, now that I'm sitting there thinking about it, is what is that? There was a show, I think it was a show on sci-fi. It was a vampire show or something. I remember she was looking for her daughter. That's always one of the tough things when you're trying to find motivations for a character to try to position them where you want to position them. A lot of times you have to follow. Yeah, I think there was something that there was an archetype that was very similar to that. I can't remember. You guys will probably be able to tell me, but it was a vampire show, and she was pretty badass. But I think she was looking for a daughter, and she had lost time or something like that. So it was I don't think it was Vampire Masquerade, but yeah, Vampire Masquerade's a fun thing. But when you're trying to find a motivation that strikes true for a female character, there are only a handful of things that are very powerful, instinctual hooks, and it's some in some ways, for certain fathers, it's that same way. But for a mother and a child, if everything was set right, with the birth and the breastfeeding and the taking care of a child from birth to the point that they're able to walk at 11 or 12, a lot of times there's pretty much a solid bond between mother and child. And so I tried to use that little bit, but in doing that, that also is very overused, I think. But again, I'm not a woman, so I don't really know. And I wasn't about to come across cliched and whatever. And I had to have something that could tie into haven't seen that since you were little. That was a tough one. That set of keywords right there, that was hard. Haven't seen that since you were little. Because that almost entirely forced my hand to create a mother-daughter situation, or somebody who had been part of somebody else's life for a while. So my notes that I had written for myself, these little notes right here, basically read Samantha, which I knew was going to be the mom, and Jackie, which was going to be the daughter, and woke up, question mark, looking for daughter. That's it. That's all I had. And then I had a thought that she had been introduced with some kind of a Nightborn gene. And then I had a person named James. I wasn't sure if I was going to pull the husband in. Funny, because I was talking about your... Oh, so Get the Swag On was about the curl? That's funny. That's fucking funny. I didn't watch enough of the show to know what it was. I just remember that some chick woke up. I think I saw like bits and pieces of it. I remember there was a chick that was sleeping or whatever, and they were watching her, and she woke up and she was just overwhelmed with trying to find her daughter, but there was like monsters outside or something. That's all I remember from that show, because I didn't get a chance to watch much of it. But I remember thinking that actress was pulling off the urgency of trying to find her daughter or her son. I can't remember if it was a boy or a girl, to be honest with you. But so I just, to me that felt like that was an authentic route to go. And then some of the other influences was, right now I am listening to Martin Schiller's Blackbird. It's called A Green and Pleasant England, and there's some shape-shifting parts in that that was somewhat influencing me when I was describing Samantha's transformation, what was happening with her. But I also wanted to make sure that these Nightborn were not your typical vampires, which is why I did emphasis on a mirror, because we all know that vampires don't cast reflections normally. And then, but I also wanted to touch on the fact that instinctually, she had a very strong bloodlust. So I have to keep refreshing, then I'm good for about half a minute. That sucks. As far as just broadcast is concerned, I'm only at 4.6 CPU. I'm streaming at a nice 60 frames per second. I have no drop frames. I'm at a solid 6,600 KB a second, so about 6,000 kilobytes. It's about 6 megs a second. So I think quality stream-wise, everything's good here. But YouTube does have some funky things that have been happening lately, so that sucks. It says, damn, I need a new laptop. My sound is always screwing up, so I can't watch videos. Get way too staticky and somewhat loses audio altogether. Oh, that sucks. Sorry, Lara. That's funny. Oh, not seen that since you were little. Ah. That's awesome. And that turned out to be one of the toughest. Yeah, because my hair is like wicked, like curly. Like, it's always funny to me. Like, I could do all kinds of stuff, but the problem is, it will just, I do this, go back, and that curl is right there. Like a little Superman curl. It's funny as hell. Get it backwards here, because I have this part over here, so I have to I'm training the hair to just go to the side, and then it just bloop, does this little Superman thing. It's pretty funny. I don't mind it. I actually kind of like it. I think it gives more flavor to the hair. Let's see here. Yeah. So anyway, that's the base story. I think I really liked this one. I think I could actually do some things with it. One thing that I thought was interesting, and the question occurred to me immediately as I started to just make the story up, was, why was she just left there? Why was she just tucked in there? Like, There was really no security. There were no sufficient precautions in place. Obviously, somebody had done something genetically wise to put her there. It's almost as if they did that so she could wake up inevitably, and then the game would be afoot, you know? Because then the hunters actually showed up pretty quickly, so it's like they were obviously watching, and I don't know. I almost have the feeling that she was created or modified to act as, you know, when you spray bugs, the bugs don't die immediately. They go back to the hive, and then when they get back to the hive, they fuck some shit up there. It seems like that's kind of where this story arc would generally go, and then she'd have to figure out, you know, what was what, you know. And I already have a couple of really fucked up twists along the way that, but you know, a lot of these, like I was telling my kids, when we tell stories, we're not really telling new stories. We're telling basically very similar stories that already exist, but the different pieces to the story ultimately are the characters and how they deal with the situation. You know, so for example, this one kind of reminds me of like a supernatural Jason Bourne, right? That's the vibe that I'm feeling here. Like, I feel ultimately she volunteered for whatever happened to her, you know? But the real question is, well, why? Why would she do that, you know? So it's fun because that's the kind of stuff that I do when I write stories. Like a lot of times, I mean, you see, you guys give me the keywords, and then I write very, very loose notes. It's kind of a beginning direction. Oh yeah, those vampires from the strain, that's fucked up. They could just throw some jizz on you and you're fucked up. But yeah, I have a weird vampire story, that Asian vampire Khitan. That's kind of futuristic sci-fi fantasy things, but the vampires, the bite part, they don't suck blood and do things that way. That bite, that is a venom distribution. So when they bite, right? They bite this because it goes straight into the blood, and then at that point, once they bite you, then you're just kind of passive and you're just laying there. And then what happens is, on the bottoms of their hands, they have these protrusions that stick out, and they just kind of reach around your ribs, and then stick it in, and they can get straight to the heart and get all kinds of good stuff in you if they wanted to. And I did that. I wrote some of the AVK stuff back in I started writing AVK in 95. Yeah, 95 is when AVK first popped in my head, and then I really started solidifying that story in 2000 and 2000. And then I had some of my friends said, dude, you can never, ever, ever write the story because society won't allow you to write this kind of horrible stuff. And then time went by and Sin City popped out, and Bruce Willis was just brutalizing that guy's nuts and stuff. And my business partner at that time had said, yeah, you can actually write your stories. I don't think anybody's going to care. After that shit, you can write whatever the fuck you want to write. I'm like, damn, Skippy. And that's how I write stuff like Happy Core and stuff like that. Excuse me, guys. I had a rough night, man. I slept really good, but I slept like too good, I think. And my CPAP put all this air in me, and so my abdomen was all extended out, you know, and it just hurt so bad. Like, I spent all day farting. It's retarded. It spent all day just ripping like I had a fucking colonoscopy and shit. It was horrible. It was embarrassing. I was just sitting here going, I asked my daughter, I said, hey, did Mariah leave? She was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, good. Thank God, you know, because I was just ripping them. It hurt so bad. But yeah, it left me really exhausted. And my Fitbit said, dude, you slept great. Like, you had an almost 2 hours of deep sleep. And I'm like, wow. Like, I normally get between 23 and 45 minutes of deep sleep. So to get like almost 2 hours, I was like, what the fuck? I was like joking to my wife. I said, yeah, the aliens abducted me and they were checking me out and they gave me a colonoscopy and all this other stuff. And they're like, yeah, he's on a CPAP, throw his ass back on that machine. He'll just think it was a CPAP thing, you know? But it was pretty funny. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Because this is Sunday. I got my shift starts tonight, and it's gonna be a long night, but things are opening up a little bit as far as giving me time to write, and so that's kind of fun. And while I'm working and stuff, like this guy Martin Schiller, I've been listening to his audiobooks, and they're not bad. They're actually really good. And it's funny because the second book, there's some parts in the second book that have some very similar threads to some of the stuff I have in Convergence 2012. And I was like, dude, you touch on some shit that I touch on. And he started laughing. We need a good werewolf story next. Okay, I could do a werewolf story next week. You could do a werewolf. Werewolves are always fun. Were something. We'll do a were something. I'm not necessarily going to say it's a werewolf. Let's see what kind of words we get next week, and then I'll decide. So I'll do something though. I'll do something with lycanthropy. We'll do something with some lichen, and that should be fine. That should be fun. But yeah, I'll make a note. We'll do that next week. Let's see. So we got feel a bit sick. I'm sorry, Paula. Hope you feel better. Lyra, you feeling better after your little operation stuff? Your appendix stuff? You feeling better? Yeah, Fridays. I'm trying to do Fridays and Sundays is what I'm really trying to do. Oh, by the way, Rymas Publishing now. I put some time in this weekend. Let's see here. Let's put it in here. http://www rymaspublishing.com. Oh, hang on. The front page is not done yet. I got to finish that tonight. That's right. So you got to go to the secondary page, which is boom, and then boom, and then the shop. And it's not like the shop was a joke. It's not meant to be like there's a shopping cart there. It's just called the shop. Welcome to the shop, the little shop of horrors. We have all kinds of wares here for you. That's really what that's going to be. When you go to rymaspublishing.com, there's going to be just kind of the front page that you land on will probably be just a summary of whatever the current book is out, blah, 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 and stuff like that. So that's the publishing site is pretty much done now. And I might even there's a couple of people that I know that are wanting to put books out. I might push them underneath Rymas and start to expand that a little bit. One thing I'd like to do later is I'd actually like to start figuring out comics, and it starts out with e-comics, like web-based comics, and then after a series is done, then there might be print that happens with it. So I don't know. We'll find out. And that's that. Okay, so that's gonna bring us pretty close here to the hour. So we got a couple minutes left. If you guys have any questions, any comments, ideas, things of that nature. I love Little Shop of Horrors. Doctor. Feed me, Seymour. Feed me. That show is fucking great. I actually really enjoy that. Even with all the sing-song stuff like that. And, I share that thought. Like, Dennis, I don't know. Dennis scared the shit out of me. I don't like dentists. I've had bad experiences with dentists. Holy shit. In fact, I might find a way to work that into a story at some point. I think that'd be fucking fun. That'd be a fun scene, actually. But yeah, I fucking hate dentists. So yeah, so anyway, everything else is kind of going according to plan. Just banging away. But yeah, I'm trying to do Fridays and Sundays for Storytime, Saturday for the Angry Jackalope show. I told my daughter we're going to start trying to figure out how to do the live streams on Saturday with some hard use stuff in there, mixed in. And see what's what. Kaiju Wednesdays. That would be fun. That'd be fun. I'd like to, I don't know if you guys can tell this, but I'm making a concerted effort to really push out for the writing stuff, because this is really where my passion lies. I love telling stories. I just there's nothing else like it. You know, telling a story and somebody's happy about it. I mean, that's just great. And my daughter's my third daughter, I should say, Mariah, she asked, "Can I read your book?" I'm like, "There's a bear shit in the woods here." So I let her take one of the Magic Really Sucks book 1 and said, "Go ahead." So I'm so excited to hear what she thinks about it, because she's been telling me the whole time she was gonna wait, because she could have read it the whole time I was writing, but she was like, "No, I'm gonna wait until it's actually out." And so now she's reading it, and I'm like, "That's awesome." Well, you know, Brian, Happy Core has kaiju in it. And that's why I think you, out of everybody here, because of the way you like things, first person, cryptoids, etc., I think you are going to fucking lose your shit over Happy Core. I think you're going to like it. I really, really do, because I have such an epic ending plan for the first book, and it deals with probably one of the biggest kaijus in the Happy Core universe. So I got some I had these crazy ideas, and I had to share with somebody. And so I shared with one of my friends, and I said, "Okay, you're sworn to fucking secrecy." And he's like, "Okay, I'm not gonna say shit to nobody." So I'm like, "All right, motherfucker." I see a giant kaiju jackalope series of characters. Yeah, there's a bunch. Because I am a huge Godzilla fan. Like, I fucking love Godzilla. And so yeah, I have some really, really, really fun stuff. So, all right, Lyra. I 10 Stacy words and nothing for 30 words. Very frustrating. Hope you have a good night. Good night, Lyra. Sweet dreams. Sleep well. Talk to you later. Again, thank you for everything you do. You really, really help me so very much. So yeah, that's gonna be the show for right now. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Please don't stress off tomorrow. If you have to go to work and stuff like that. Realizing most people die of heart attacks on Mondays is because of the stress of going to the work and stuff like that. Don't do that. Just, take your lumps, smile, put the time in, find your passion, chase it, have a good time with that. That's it. All right, guys, that is going to be it for now. I really, 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 really do appreciate you guys spending time with me. I will see you guys later. Adios.
Sficammia, nugaranghe di